Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Kate from Beautiful Light Home, and today is the second part of my Waldorf education and music series videos. The first was all about just a high-level overview of Waldorf education and music, specifically the pentatonic scale. This video is going to be all about Waldorf education and instruments, musical instruments for children to play. So ever since I was young, I had heard that if you could play piano, you could essentially play any instrument, right? So I learned piano starting in third grade and I loved it. I am not very good technically speaking. I never was. I could never keep time to a metronome. I always played with my heart and played with my feeling. I feel like I've always tried to connect with things on a feeling level, so it's probably why Waldorf education is so attractive to me, because it really does bring the heart and soul into education. But Waldorf education has different views on playing instruments. So I learned that I was probably like eight or 9 years old. Probably about 9 years old when I started playing piano. And I played it all throughout, all the way up into high school. And then I remember in high school, I really wanted to learn guitar. And I sat down with a guitar teacher, a different teacher than my piano teacher. And I just couldn't get it. And I was really frustrated because I had always been told, like, if you could play piano, you could play any instrument. But the guitar was just foreign to me. I don't feel like I practiced it enough. It's something I want to get back into. But my husband, on the other hand, started with guitar. You could see we have like guitars hanging up all over our house. He's very musically inclined, and he started with the guitar when he was in high school. And he can play pretty much any instrument by ear. I do think that he has like a special talent for that, but I do think that he also trained his ear. And I say all this because this comes back to Waldorf education a lot. So Waldorf education does not believe that you should start with the piano. They think that piano should not be an instrument that a child should play until they're essentially in high school, like past age 14. They believe that children should start with either a stringed instrument or a flute or a recorder. And here's the reason why. So first of all, we're not really introducing musical instruments as like a heavily practiced item with our children really before the age of 7. They're developing their bodies at that time, and I don't think a lot of times they have the coordination to be able to play an instrument just yet. But if you are in that if you do have children in that 7 to 14 year age range, that's when developmentally children are really living in their feeling world. They're learning with their heart, they're learning with their soul, and they're learning with their feelings. Connecting with them on that level really helps to connect with what they're learning, and it's also just how they're living their lives. So if you can connect through the feeling aspect at that point, that's what you want to do. So with that being said, Waldorf education believes that playing a stringed instrument and a flute or a recorder is much more of a feeling type of instrument. You're playing more with your heart. You're not really playing with learning music theory as much. You're really focused on, not on the technique, but more on the sounds. So it's not that technique isn't important. You would have somebody still training you on how to do the technique, but you're playing more from the heart and soul. The piano, on the other hand, and this is something I do agree with, is more of an analytical instrument. In order to learn it, you really have to apply your brain, and your brain has to work for it. You're normally learning music theory with the piano, and you're really focusing on the technique and the analytical piece of your mind, less of the feelings. That's why I was not a very good piano student, because I was playing with my feelings. I mean, I was learning when I was like 9 years old, and I was still playing into that whole aspect of trying to play with my heart and soul and my feelings. So, and I liked it. So it is okay if you play piano, just know that the technical piece is okay if it comes later. So I always find that interesting, that Waldorf education does not think playing piano is the first thing that a student should do. Instead, especially when they're younger, they should really be focusing on something that they can play with their heart and their soul. And I do think it's a lot of the reason why my husband has such an amazing gift of having an ear for music. I think he's trained it really well because he doesn't know music theory. He most likely can't read notes. I'm pretty sure he can't read notes and things like that. Not that it's not something that is important, but because he's playing with his heart and soul, he can listen to it, he hears it, his whole body reacts to the song, and he can turn out a song on almost any instrument very quickly. And he's developed that by learning with his heart and soul. So it's just food for thought. But I just wanted to share that little bit of information with you, especially if your child is at the age where they might be interested in learning an instrument. I would stick to either a stringed instrument or something like the flute or recorder to begin with in that 7 to age 14 range. So hopefully this information was helpful for you. And like I said, this is the second part of my Waldorf education and music series. You can go back and check out my first video, which is all about Waldorf education and music and the pentatonic scale. And if you're looking for more information, please like and subscribe to this channel. You can also see me over at beautifullighthome.com. That's where I have my whole blog posts over there. And you can also find me on Instagram at beautifullighthome, especially if you're looking for ways to make Waldorf education more accessible and help bring Waldorf education into your homes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you soon.